Hi, it's Sue with today's Bible reading. I'm reading for January 30th, Exodus 36 to 38 from the World English Bible. Feel free to comment your thoughts about today's reading or any interesting tidbits you may have about it. Any comments? Let me know if you think the volume of the broadcast is appropriate. I've been wondering about that. I want it, kind of in line with other broadcasts so that if someone like me is listening, how do I say that? I like to listen to playlists and I don't want it to go significantly softer or louder and compared to other ones on my list. So, and also at the end, I'll tell you a little bit more about the broadcast and some ways that you can contact us and just a bit more of information there, how to get your free 1 year Bible as well. All right, chapter 36, verse 1. Bezalel and Aholiab shall work with every wise-hearted man in whom Yahweh has put wisdom and understanding to know how to do all the work for the service of the sanctuary according to all that Yahweh has commanded. Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Yahweh had put wisdom. Oh Lord, put wisdom in my heart, I pray in Jesus' name. Even every one whose heart stirred him up to come to the work to do it. Remember, we left off. This is actually just in case you're just popping in and didn't hear the last few days' readings. Moses has just finished receiving all the instructions to build the tabernacle for the Lord, the movable temple, as it were. And so it also talked about God stirring the hearts of these workmen and putting wisdom, understanding, and knowledge in their hearts to be able to do the work that they were going to need to do. Isn't that beautiful? And so here it is. Let me read verse 2 again. Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Yahweh had put wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to come to the work to do it. They received from Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary and which to make it. They kept bringing free will offerings to him every morning. All the wise men who performed all the work of the sanctuary each came from his work which he did. They spoke to Moses, saying, the people have brought much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh commanded to make. Moses gave a commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make anything else for the offering for the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient to do all the work and too much. Isn't that great? Oh, that all the work of the Lord would be super funded so that there's too much. Isn't that wonderful? And, the women were making, I guess they were weavings, linen weavings and cloth, and just so much was going on. They had the poles, things, poles and tent stakes and rings and hooks made of silver and bronze, and they had dyes for the cloth, certain dyes for the cloth, and utensils to put in the tabernacle. So all this was being brought together so that Moses could obey the instructions that the Lord had given him. Verse 8. All the wise-hearted men among those who did the work made the tabernacle with tent curtains of fine twined linen, blue, purple, and scarlet. They made them with cherubim, the work of a skillful workman. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits. All the curtains had one measure. He coupled 5 curtains to one another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled to one another. He made loops of blue on the edge of the one curtain from the edge in the coupling. Likewise, he made in the edge of the curtain that was outermost in the second coupling. He made 50 loops in the one curtain, and he made 50 loops in the edge of the curtain that was in the second coupling. The loops were opposite to one another. He made 50 clasps of gold and coupled the curtains to one another with the clasps, so the tabernacle was a unit. Remember, they were going to have to break this down, carry it, set it back up over and over. I don't know how many times they actually did that over the years. So it was portable. Verse 14. He made curtains of goat's hair for a covering over the tabernacle. He made them 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and cubit, I think we said the other day, was 18 inches approximately. So the length of each cubit was 30 the length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits the width of each curtain. The 11 curtains had one measure. He coupled 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves. He made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was outermost in the coupling, and he made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain which was the outermost in the second coupling. He made 50 clasps of bronze to couple the tent together that it might be a unit. He made a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of sea cow hides above. He made the boards for the tabernacle of acacia wood standing up. 10 cubits was the length of the board, and a cubit and a half was the width of each board. Each board had 2 tenons joined to one another. He made all the boards of the tabernacle this way. He made the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side sideward. I messed that one up last time too. It says 20 boards for the south side southward. Try saying that 10 times fast. South side southward. He made 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. For the second side of the tabernacle on the north side, he made 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board and 2 sockets under another board. For the far part of the tabernacle westward, he made 6 boards. He made 2 boards for the corners of the tabernacle in the far part. They were double beneath, and in the same way they were all the way to the top to one ring. He did this to both of them in the 2 corners. There were 8 boards and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets under every board, 2 sockets. Now, if you could follow that, you're better than me. But people have used this to make replicas. So as far as I know, it has the ability to be followed like it's written. Verse 31, he made bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the hinder part westward. He made the middle bar to pass through in the middle of the boards from the one end to the other. He overlaid the boards with gold and made their rings of gold as places for the bars, overlaid the bars with gold. He made the veil of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine-twined linen with cherubim. Let me stop and say a thought. Isn't it interesting they could be so industrious and get so much done out in the wilderness living in tents? They had a whole society established, right? Which so blows out of the water the whole caveman idea. When people talk about this idea that we've progressed from these brute beasts living in caves all the way to where we are now, it's just simply not true. Even if in different eras they lived in caves, they also had villages and cities, and even if they were nomads living in tents, they had societies established. They had weapons, they had tools, they had fire, they had music, they had engineering. Maybe not the technology we have, but they had all that. And that's also evidenced in all the ancient archaeology and some of the antediluvian archaeology that we still don't even know how to explain. So these were not cavemen. And ancient manuscripts and historical documents bear all that out. So, here these guys are in the middle of the wilderness, and they might have had wagons and horses and donkeys or whatnot, but, they managed to do a whole lot anyway, and they were very intelligent and skilled. All right. This is 37, verse 1. Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood. Its length was 2.5 cubits, and its width 1.5 cubits, and 1.5 cubits its height. Let me double check. Yeah, it says a cubit was about 18 inches. He overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside and made a molding of gold for it around it. He cast 4 rings of gold for it in its 4 feet, 2 rings on its one side and 2 rings on its other side. He made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to bear the ark. He made a mercy seat of pure gold. Its length was 2.5 cubits and 1.5 cubits its width. He made 2 cherubim of gold. He made them beaten work at the 2 ends of the mercy seat, 1 cherub at the one end and 1 cherub at the other end. He made the cherubim of one piece with the mercy seat at its 2 ends. The cherubim spread out their wings above, covering the mercy seat with their wings, with their faces toward one another. The faces of the cherubim were toward the mercy seat. He made the table of acacia wood. Its length was 2 cubits, its width was 1 cubit, and its height was 1.5 cubits. He overlaid it with pure gold and made a gold molding around it. He made a border of the hands width around it and made a golden molding on its border around it. He cast 4 rings of gold for it and put the rings in the 4 corners that were on its 4 feet. The rings were close by the border, the places for the poles to carry the table. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold to carry the table. He made the vessels which were on the table, its dishes, its spoons, its bowls, and its pitchers, with which to pour out of pure gold. He made the lampstand of pure gold. He made the lampstand of beaten work. Its base, its shaft, its cups, its buds, and its flowers were of one piece with it. There were 6 branches going out of its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out of its one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand out of its other side. 3 cups were made like almond blossoms in the one branch, a bud and a flower, and 3 cups made like almond blossoms in the other branch, a bud and a flower. So for the 6 branches going out of the lampstand, in the lampstand were 4 cups made like almond blossoms, its buds and its flowers, and a bud under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a bud under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a bud under 2 branches of one piece with it, for the 6 branches going out of it. Their buds and their branches were of one piece with it. The whole thing was one beaten work of pure gold. He made its 7 lamps, and its snuffers, and its snuff dishes of pure gold. He made it of a talent of pure gold with all its vessels. Like, how wealthy were they once they left Egypt? I mean, they plundered Egypt. Amazing. Verse 25. He made the altar of incense of acacia wood. It was square. Its length was a cubit, and its width a cubit. Its height was 2 cubits. Its horns were of one piece with it. He overlaid it with pure gold. Its top, its sides around it, and its horns. Now, I want to say too, God told him to overlay them with gold. It wasn't just they were trying to be ritzy. God told him to overlay them with gold for a reason. And I personally believe it was as a type of shielding for the radiating glory, to protect them and to protect, well, let me not delve too far into that rabbit hole, but there was a reason. I believe it's just my personal opinion that they were covered with gold for a reason. Verse 23. He made its 7 lamps and its snuffers and its snuff dishes of pure gold. He made it out of a talent of pure gold, and the talent is 66 pounds of pure gold with all its vessels. He made the altar of incense of acacia wood. It was square. Its length was a cubit, and its width a cubit. Its height was 2 cubits. Its horns were of one piece with it. He overlaid it with pure gold, its top, its sides around it, and its horns. He made a gold molding around it. He made 2 golden rings for it under its molding crown, on its 2 ribs, and on its 2 sides, for places for poles with which to carry it. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of the sweet spices, after the art of the perfumer. He made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. It was square. Its length was 5 cubits, its width was 5 cubits, and its height was 3 cubits. He made its horns on its 4 corners. Its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. He made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, the shovels, the basins, the forks, and the fire pans. He made all its vessels of bronze. He made for the altar a grating of a network of bronze under the ledge around it beneath, reaching halfway up. He cast 4 rings for the 4 corners of bronze grating to be places for the poles. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. Now, see, that was probably to withstand the fire and just so they'd last longer. Who knows? Verse 7. He put the poles into the rings on the sides of the altar with which to carry it. He made it hollow with planks. So hollow maybe to make it lighter to carry. Verse 8. He made the basin of bronze and its base of bronze out of the mirrors of the ministering women who ministered at the door of the tent of the meeting. How interesting. Let me read that again. He made the basin of bronze and its base of bronze out of the mirrors of the ministering women who ministered at the door of the tent of meeting. He made the court for the south side southward. Got it right that time. The south side southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets 20, of bronze. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were silver. For the north side, 100 cubits, their pillars 20, and their sockets 20 of bronze, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. For the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. See, it was a rectangular tent, so it's why it's shorter on this side. For the east side, eastward, 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And so for the other side, on this hand and that hand by the gate of the court, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings around the court were of fine twined linen. The sockets for the pillars were of bronze. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. Their capitals were overlaid with silver. All the pillars of the court had silver bands. The screen for the gate of the court was the work of an embroiderer, of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen. 20 cubits was the length, and the height along the width was 5 cubits, like hangings of the court. Their pillars were 4, and their sockets 4 of bronze. their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals, and their fillets of silver. All the pins of the tabernacle and around the court were of bronze. These are the amounts of the materials used for the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of the testimony, as they were counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of tribe of Judah, made all that Yahweh commanded Moses. With him was Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a skillful workman, and an embroiderer in blue, in purple, in scarlet, and in fine linen. All the gold that was used for the work, in all the work of the sanctuary, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents. Let's see what a talent is again. 66 pounds or 965 troy ounces, or 30 kilograms. So 29 talents of 730 shekels according to the shekel of the sanctuary. The silver of those who were counted of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,775 shekels according to the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah, a head, that is half a shekel according to the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone who passed over to those who were counted from 20 years old and upward. For 3,550 men, the 100 talents of silver were for casting the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil. 100 sockets for the 100 talents, 1 talent per socket. From the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, overlaid their capitals, and made fillets for them. The bronze of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. With this he made the sockets to the door of the tent of the meeting, and by the way, there was only one door. The bronze altar, the bronze grating for it, all the vessels of the altar, the sockets around the court, the sockets of the gate of the court, all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins around the court. That's it for today's reading. Now listen, in the description, there are multiple links you might find useful. There is also an email address if you'd like a free copy of the 1 Year Bible. If you'd like to help distribute Bibles, there's a link for donations. There's also a link to order a Bible. A couple of those are affiliate links, which are no longer active. I think you can still order through them, but they're not affiliated with me anymore. I don't get any money for those. Maybe one day I will again. So anyway, that's there. I think that's all I can say about that. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.